having it play, and my daughter's like, is that you talking? Like, yeah, look at mommy. And she's like, oh, okay, I don't care. Like, I'm cool. Cool. I'm on YouTube.
Well, that's excellent, because I actually, from two of the three sons that I have, I actually got an official cease and desist letter, which was, I didn't even know they had lawyers, Elizabeth. Anyway, we're very happy to be here with podcast number 2. And it's not just the 4 Bungknockers hanging around and being dumb. We have the estimable master distiller at Woodford Reserve, Elizabeth McCall, with us today. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun. You guys are the most fun. I love hanging out with you.
Well, so do I. I mean, listen, we launched our little brand, if you will, with Woodford. You know, we've had the 2 episodes. People were seemed to be very much respond to the cliffhanger of the Bill Murray barrel and who would get showered with bourbon, and created a little bit of a conversation going. Have you watched what we've
yes.
together?
I've watched it, and it's been so much fun reliving that whole day that we spent together. It was just because I remember laughing so much. I remember so much Taylor Swift commentary going in, and then it's so funny that, like, now, I mean, Taylor has taken over the world since we had that. I mean, she already dominated the world. Now she's like total, complete domination. But it's just so funny going back and then having it play, and my daughter's like, is that you talking? Like, yeah, look at mommy. And she's like, oh, okay, I don't care. Like, I'm cool. Cool. I'm on YouTube.
Well, that's excellent, because I actually, from 2 of the 3 sons that I have, I actually got an official cease and desist letter, which was, I didn't even know they had lawyers, Elizabeth. It was very peculiar.
Well, and the Bill Murray estate is not happy with us either.
They're like, why are you blowing up my spot? Like, you need to tell everybody.
My barrel, step off.
Yeah.
I like how it's his estate already. Jesus.
Well, it's funny from our perspective, because it's been over a year since we visited you, and we were so intimidated and thought, I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to go for this. And you guys, and you in particular, Elizabeth, you were so game to, like, take us around and welcome us. And we instantly felt like, okay, maybe this is something. So we thank you for that, number one.
Welcome.
Because it was just really, like, it was such an education and such a, it really, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm probably speaking for all of the Bungknockers, that we were, our passion was ignited, was like, it was justified that somebody like you, who's at such a senior, important, amazing position at Woodford, would embrace 4 idiots like us.
But, I mean, that's the beauty of bourbon, right? I mean,
to embrace idiots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Embrace idiots, just to, like, just brings people together. That's the beauty of it. I mean, that's why they shouldn't be so serious.
I couldn't, you were so down to earth. You are so down to earth, and you really took the Mickey out of, this was our exploration, right? This is our quest to take the Mickey out of bourbon to, we're all artists here, and, we take seriously what we do, but at the end of the day, we're flesh and blood, and we want to have fun, and we don't want to seem or feel pretentious, and you really helped us in that regard, I have to tell you. So cheers to you, and thank you for that.
Elizabeth, when I was rewatching, saw that, I remember the thing that stood out to me was that you had studied psychiatry or psychology?
Psychology.
Sorry.
And I think to myself,
I'm not a doctor.
No, I'm your agent now. We'll get into my job, but go, I'm sorry, Graham. Go ahead.
Does it help you deal with idiots like us? Like,
oh yes,
when you encounter dummies every day, and you're like, I know which dummy this is. I studied them.
Well, it does, because I think psychology is just such a value. Like, it's so easy to use in all the areas, and it's great. I think when you're trying to consider who your audience is and all that. Like, it's just really good for that. So I like that. And when you're up in front of a room talking to people, it helps me read a room and go, okay, I'm losing them. Let's shift gears and start talking about something different. But then at the end of the day, I really truly feel like anyone who's in the bourbon industry or the whiskey industry, it's all about passion. So you don't have to have these technical degrees. They're very helpful to have that. It's not a must. So it's a passion-driven thing, because we talk to people all the time that are basically bartenders or whatever, and they got into it just because of they loved it and were inspired by bourbon.
So I feel like you're a member of the family. I feel like you're a Bungknocker yourself. I mean, let's face it, you really are. But it's been over a year since we've had conversation with you. How was your year? How was your holiday? How's everything going?
It has been wonderful. I mean, we've been busy. I feel like it's been very busy. We've done lots of innovation. We've been trying to just keep the interest kind of high with people. So bourbon's been busy. Life has been busy. You know, having a 4-year-old and a 4.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. They're insane.
Oh my God.
So that's just a whole, I mean, you all, I feel like I don't know what's going on in the world because all we watch is Coco Melon. Over the holidays, we've been in, because we got all that snow. I mean, so we're in Kentucky. We got an immense amount of snow. We've been stuck in the house. School's been out. A week passed. They were supposed to go back.
Wow.
And all we've had is Coco Melon. So I don't know what's going on in the world. I have to have other people fill me in. I'm like, what happened? What day is it? I don't know.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I obviously heard about the weather in Kentucky, particularly the Louisville area, and you know, on the East Coast, we freak out here in New York. If there's an inch of snow, we think it's the apocalypse, you know. But you guys have not experienced that in quite a long time, and I know from revisiting episode 1 that you have a heat-cycled warehouse at Woodford, where 1 year at Woodford is not necessarily a year at other distilleries.
Yes. So that's where it's really beneficial when it gets cold. I mean, we're getting down into the negative number. The highs in 18 degrees was what the news was saying the other day, like high of 18. Okay. So for us, we have the advantage of having that heat-cycled warehouse. So when it's cold, we're heating it up to summer-like temperatures. The warehouses will be nice and cozy and warm. And honestly, it could be 13 degrees outside, but we'll be ready to go T-shirts and jeans in the warehouse. So it'll be really warm. And what's fun, I mean, the air is full of whiskey because we lose that angel share.
Mm.
So it's beautiful. But we're driving maturation throughout these winter months. So this cold weather doesn't impact us the same way that other distilleries or other people with their warehousing might.
So that's the thing. So, you know, I subscribe to various dorky whiskey news or whatever, and like the James Pepper distillery is like, oh my God, where maturation has come to a halt because the cold weather makes all of the whiskey in the barrel go back to the middle and there's no aging, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys are not affected, but others are, yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of heat cycling is that, well, and I think, so we continue to mature throughout the winter. So that's an advantage we have. So that just because that's why age statements are hard for us, because it doesn't truly reflect the actual flavor maturity of the whiskey. So that's a big thing. But then it's just also the environment in the warehouse is a big thing for me, and something that I want to start to look into more is, well, if you have a warehouse that's supposed to be heat cycled, but it's not, and so then you're not properly ventilating it the right way, what is that air like? And then you have a barrel that's porous. If you've got funky aromas that just smell like musty, like an old damp, gross basement, is that going to impact your whiskey?
My hypothesis aroma was Brandon's nickname in college, by the way.
I told you that in confidence.
I'm so sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, that's so cute.
I didn't mean to betray you. God,
just people would walk down and be like, oh, funk, what's up?
Yeah, just funk for short.
Just funk. The funk. The funk.
The funk.
Be funk.
But you guys are equipped for that type of thing where others might not be. But the point is, like, area has not seen anything like this in quite some time. Yeah.
No, this is wild. Like, and we're not equipped for it, and we're not. I mean, and it's fine. I mean, it's fun. It's been okay, and we haven't lost power, so we're all just.
Do you own
hanging
a
out.
snow shovel at your house?
We do. We own a snow shovel. I don't own a sled. My parents have one. I was sledding in my parents' backyard on it was probably my dad's sled from the 1960s. Like, it was like so old. And then we had like a saucer, but we've got it now. It was just fun. I had to try it out. I was like, does this thing work? Like, might as well.
How much snowfall did you guys get down there?
Like almost a foot.
Okay,
So
that's
we
what we
had
got
a
up
good-
here too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was good. So I joke, we have all the snow things. My kids have all the snow gear, so it's been fun. I mean, thank goodness for Amazon delivering.
No kidding, right? So, but do you have to close down the visitor experience for a stretch?
We did, just out of safety, just to keep everybody safe. When it snows that much, we're just not equipped to keep up with it. So it's not safe for people to be out driving because the roads just can't be kept up with. But luckily, what was fortunate is that we were on a shutdown, just part of our winter holiday shutdown for the distillery. So that was good that we didn't have to worry about our team getting there and things going awry at the distillery. So that was nice.
Well, we talked when we were all together about the intersection of the stuff that we do, composers, illustrators, theater artists, distillers, and the commonality of all of that. And the thing that I did find to be the most common is that we all shut down for like a month over the holidays. Nobody wants to work.
Nobody wants to. It's true. I mean, like, it is such a good time because people are we all need that. I think we all just need a good reset. And I feel like that's what we did, was like reset everything. And then the snow came, and then it was like, okay, I'm fully reset, and now I'm starting to pull my hair out.
I bet, right?
Thank goodness for bourbon.
What is in your glass right now, Elizabeth?
Yeah, you'll see that. See how beautiful that color is?
That's your double.
That's double.
Okay.
It's double.
So, guys, let's, for the people watching and for the people who are not, I don't care. This is so
And
important.
the people listening, just say that.
Oh, well,
Good. Hi, friend.
yes. Hello, Baker's Dozen people watching. So I remember with great fondness talking about the Double Oak, which was a distillery-only release. And this year, you guys have decided to expand that to make it a nationwide allocated release so that everybody can get a chance at tasting this very revered product that you make. I would love for you to orient us in that.
It's so weird. I feel like I just need to be pinched because we've been talking about it forever. There have been years of people saying, why can't we get it? When can I get it? And I'm like, we have to plan for it. And we planned enough. We've got enough held back that we were able to finally release it 2025. And it just so happens that it's 10 years since our first release, that was not in the plan. It just sort of worked out that way. I was like, oh my God, it has been. Because 2015 was when we first introduced it. And it truly is, the story behind it is that we have our spec for double oak. So regular, lovely double oak that I love double oaked. I mean, had a pour of that earlier, and then, and now I'm having double. But so regular double oaked, we aged for up to 12 months in the second barrel. And that's a heavily toasted, lightly charred barrel. I mean, it is the first ever bourbon that had a second barrel made just for the finishing process. So we have this beautiful, heavily toasted barrel, which brings out all those sweet aromatic notes in the oak. So it's very butterscotch, soft, velvety, all that yumminess. Well, then we have the double, which goes beyond that. So we had barrels that passed the 12-month mark. And so instead of going, well, let's just blend it into a regular batch, it was like, well, let's hold those back and see what happens and explore that flavor. What happens when we have our double oaked go longer? And we learned it really shifts into this really dark color and rich flavor profile. So I mean, if you all have your samples.
So you guys were kind enough to send us these samples of the double double, which just released.
Yes, thank you.
Yesterday.
Yes.
It
Just
was
yesterday.
Yesterday. So we are privileged to have this. We thank you enormously. And I'm looking at the cover of this, and I'm like, my God, I've never seen a 90.4 proof.
Yeah.
So rich and dark and deep and complex.
So Elizabeth, the original double oaked is the bourbon is aged in a secondary barrel, and you're saying that I'm just trying to break it down in my head. So this has been aged past 12 months in that secondary barrel. So it's kind of a longer aging, but it wasn't in the sense that it wasn't dumped from the second barrel and put into a third barrel. Is that right?
Correct. It's
just
still just that 1 second barrel. And instead of stopping at 12 months, we go, and this is like an average age of 30 months because it's just kind of, I mean, and that was kind of the beauty of it. We toyed around with different ranges because things came of age at different times. And so you kind of put your batches together. And this is the magic. I mean, this is where it just presents, and it shifts so much from the standard. So it's rich, think of roasted coffee, dark chocolate. There's even like this little fun kind of hickory oak, hickory wood kind of character in that sweet oak, toasted oak. I mean, it's just, but it hits your nose harder than a little more, and I don't want to say it's like harsh, but there's more spice. That's more that clove, kind of cinnamon, nutmeg spice. Oh, it's so good.
That's an adventure right there.
Can we cheers to you, Elizabeth, and this accomplishment? Because I have waited for this moment to put my lips on this new expression.
Yes.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm just so happy we can finally share it with everyone outside of Kentucky. It's so exciting to have it out. I mean, because we've been.
Did you ever consider calling it double oaked extreme?
No, Graham.
No.
I'm gonna. As
I'm just saying. I'm just wondering. There was a day
and
in
a
the
new
boardroom
employee at the Woodford Reserve compound.
They sat around a table.
No, Graham.
They sat around a table discussing, well, what do we call it? And somebody probably said, not that, but there were probably some other.
This is exceptional.
I had another question about it because you obviously had a higher yield to get distribution all over the country for allocation, but you also went from 375 to 750 this time, right? 700. Yeah. So it's the bottle itself is,
Yeah, bottle is bigger.
I have
it's
the last
beautiful.
dregs of a 2020.
I can't
look at your little bottle.
I can't help but to introduce what Mitch has already introduced. His story when he was a bourbon virgin, and you were in Louisville, yes?
Oh, is this where I spent way too much money?
Burb
Where
verge
you
is what we
went,
call.
you're like double.
Yeah.
Great, I'll buy this and I'll buy something else. And somebody at the counter that you bought from a secondary place. Mitch, please take over this story because
we were
it.
at it was for my 40th birthday, and we were at this little kind of diner somewhere near Louisville, not in Louisville, I don't think. And there was like kind of a bottle shop inside of the little diner, and I went out to go check all the bottles, and I saw Elmer T. Lee, and then I saw the double oaked, and I was like, oh my gosh, awesome. And I was new to the game, wanted to be cool, so I go up to the register to get them, and they're like, oh, that'll be $5.75. And I was like, but like, I still wanted to be cool, so I was like, that's right, okay.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I intended to do.
double the order.
Mitch, was it that little bottle you just held up?
I've been nursing this little guy for
Did you think that
quite a while.
the main price of that bill was the Elmer, or did you know that it was sort of equal?
I think it was probably equal parts, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, double is so rare. I mean, Elizabeth,
To be fair, it's delicious.
It is.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
The legs on this lady, I love when I hang out with these three guys, and I move the whiskey around in the Glencairn, and I see the viscosity and the legs drip down. I'm like, there's nothing better for me, and it's like this is A+.
It's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
Those are some slow moving legs on this lady.
She's taking her time.
One of the most impressive things when we visited you guys was your level of consistency and coupled with your level of innovation. And it's like, well, that's everything, right? I mean, that's that's everything you want. You want a consistent brand, but you also want to push the envelope as well and say, hey, there are new things out there. There are new things to explore, and we're going to go there. We're going to pay homage to the stalwart things that people love. And we're also going to go somewhere else as well.
Yeah. I always say, I'm like, when we do innovation and we're doing limited releases, it's easy because you don't have to repeat it. And the true art form really comes into when you have to create consistency with your product.
You bet.
And that's the challenge. And when you're making your own liquid, and you get so much more control over that because you look at every element that goes into making that. And so we take a lot of pride in all the steps. So it's a lot of work, but we love it.
You bet. And you're doing so great. I mean, listen, I got fired from Phantom of the Opera because I wanted to make it better and people didn't want it to be better. So, bully on them. Is this where the awkward pause comes in for...
You're nailing the awkward pause part of this show.
Yeah,
Every time.
Yeah. You know that. Oh, this is exceptional. It's absolutely exceptional. Can I ask you a question? What happened, or do you know what happened, or do you have eyes on what will happen to Bill Murray's barrel?
Guys, I don't know. I mean, we have eyes on it, and we're going to hold on to it. We're going to keep it safe, and we'll let Bill know when we decide to dump it. I'll have to protect it because we got weird people coming out and tasting it.
I bet. Well, yeah,
That's true.
Present company included, right? I mean, come on.
Exclusively
present company.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
Well, he wrote his name on it, so hey.
Dan was sort of touching on it. And what is it that, I know this is a broad question, but as artists and the idea between keeping a consistent product but also innovating, which of those things is what gets you? I know this is a cheesy question, but what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning in terms of like, I'm excited, this is what is exciting to go to work to do? And I don't mean that there is things that aren't exciting, but is the creativity part of it a big part of what motivates you?
Yeah, I really love getting to be creative and work in a space and just kind of go, okay, what are we going to do? But I think what I love the most about it is the work that I do with the whole team of people that I get to work with. Like, and I know, so I was talking about a lot, like the last clip I watched, we were all together and I was like, I have a great team. So that's what I get. I'm a very collaborative person. So I love being like, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. How do we bring it to life and like make it actually work in the distillery? Because there's one thing when you have a dream of like, I want to make this whiskey with these grains, but then scaling it up and actually making it work in the distillery is another thing. So I love getting to work with my team out there and we troubleshoot all the different scenarios and, well, how does this work out? That's my favorite part of the job. Like that's what I absolutely love. And I love seeing, because I have very bad ADD. So I forget things. I'm like all over the place. And so it's great to have good people that'll help you like, no, remember that. And so it's just really fun. So I'm really proud of the people I get to work with. And that's my favorite thing. That's what gets me excited every day. So like working with those people. You see the
stone face of Brandon. He doesn't want to admit it, but he has the same thing. He's like, I sympathize, Elizabeth.
God, yeah.
I don't. I'm kidding. I mean, I think, please, it's part of it. Elizabeth, when I was rewatching the 2 episodes on Woodford Reserve, I couldn't help but think you gave us such an education on the very foundation of the art form and the craft of making bourbon. And it was so appreciated. You were so welcoming. And then I thought, okay, like on a larger scale, because, Woodford is part of the Brown-Forman Corporation, right? Brown-Forman, for people who don't know, own Woodford, Old Forester, Jack Daniels. Do you have interaction with the people at Old Forester, with Melissa Rift,
Yeah.
the master taster at Old Forester, with the people at JD? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's so funny you should mention that because actually we have Chris Fletcher, the master distiller for Jack. He's coming up on Thursday. So we have an innovation team meeting coming up this Thursday and Friday. I know. So it's myself and Chris Morris, Melissa Rift, Caleb Trigo, Chris Fletcher, and then some of our research and development team members. So my former manager, Amber Bannett, she's within Consumer Insights, so getting that piece. And then we have some of the...
Elizabeth, you need me there for that.
Dan, you got to get in on that.
And then we have some people from the other R&D team
sidestepped it immediately.
Your mic went out. I can't hear him.
I didn't miss that. But it's exciting because we have all the people in the room that to work on this. And it's about making sure what are we all working on innovation wise? What are we doing if we're doing anything that's similar, how do we not reinvent the wheel, but then also not step on each other's toes and make sure that it aligns with the different brands? Like what does Jack Daniel's stand for? How do they innovate? How should they what's their storyline? Because that's so important too. It's not just about, and I know that, and this is me, like more my marketing hat, because we like to make really good whiskey, but it also has to make sense within your brand, and it has to make sense for the identity of the brand. And so that's something we always consider too. And so we're all going to get together and see what happens and share. And actually, Chris Fletcher was my former manager, and he's such a wealth of knowledge, and he comes from such a long lineage of whiskey making with Jack Daniel's. So for those of you who don't know, he's the master distiller for Jack Daniel's, and he's great. And so I'm so excited that we're all going to be together. So it's so funny you mentioned that. Like, we'll be together.
No, that's wonderful, and I can't wait for that restraining order to be lifted.
Stay.
Well, these people start coming to Louisville and like, hey, show up at headquarters.
So, right. Elizabeth, I didn't quite get the details. Where are we meeting?
What's that address?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't make it. Is it a 5 or a 4?
Well, no, but it's a very interesting notion because, I feel like as whiskey geeks, as bourbon geeks, we know Brown-Forman is Woodford and Old Forester and Jack Daniels and Cooper and, et cetera. I know that most people, your everyday consumer doesn't necessarily know that. But as artists, we thrive on collaboration. And, and so surely one storied brand feeds into the story of another storied brand. And why wouldn't it? I mean, you'd be remiss if you didn't tap into that knowledge and that expertise.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we get together. That's why we have this full innovation team. And I work really closely with the Old Forester team. So because we're so closely related, the two whiskeys, and then just making sure that we're innovating in the right way and just helping each other out as best we can. And collaboration is just, I think, key, and I think a big deal of whiskey industry. And I mean, I have other friends that are in the industry, and they all show up for each other. It's just really great. I mean, we have my older brother has a foundation and he raises money through his foundation he's a basketball coach, so his high school basketball players, and just helping them. So yeah. What we've started doing is we do what I call a distillers roundtable, and I get my colleagues not only at Brown-Forman but other industry friends, and we all get together and we do an event. And I mean, it's really just us talking about whiskey, and we have somebody asking questions. But it's such a rare opportunity that we're all together and we bring whiskey to share, and it's a cool event. I mean, it's still very, very small, but
I have a confession to make, Elizabeth. I really do. And I don't think Melissa Rift remembers me, but I bought a bottle. There were 150 bottles of Old Forester 100 and sesquicentennial anniversary, blah, and they had a event. And so you could buy a bottle of the Brown-Forman reclaimed wood in the box, blah. This was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I got a bottle. I flew down and I got it. And I met Melissa. The unfortunate part of that is that I was already half a bottle deep into birthday bourbon before I met Melissa. So even that far deep into the birthday bourbon, I could see that she was like, this dude needs to go away.
The texts from that night were wonderful.
Yeah.
It was a journey.
So Dan, you're saying you're glad she doesn't remember you.
It's possible.
He
Yeah.
really hopes she doesn't.
But no, I mean, I think the point is like, and we have not been to we have been to Old Forester. Obviously, we spent some time, gorgeous time with you, Elizabeth, and we're eternally grateful for it. And we have not yet been to Jack Daniel's.
We haven't been to Tennessee.
We have not. We have not.
You got to get down there. I mean,
How's the weather?
Jack is good, but I mean, honestly, like when you think about like the Jack Daniel's is so huge in the industry, and for us, I mean, they're where most people's quality standards were born. I mean, it's such a big, like people like to say like, oh, it's just this big whiskey factory. But in reality, I mean, it is. We make a lot of whiskey down at Jack Daniel's. There's no denying that. But the quality that goes into making it is amazing. And that's what the best practices have all been birthed sort of there, from your microbiology to, you know, your just how do you grind your grain to your fermentation. I mean, all of just everything. It is such a wonderful place. So you should go and see the craft that's done there and meet the team because they're amazing.
We would love to do that. Are we going to be friends?
I mean, why not?
Are we? Wait, are we not now?
Yeah,
We're not
I don't know,
friends?
Dan. Come on.
Am
I mean, if
not
I see you on
I
the
think
street, Dan, are you going to reject me if you see me on the street? You're going to be like, I don't know that
obviously
person.
never, Elizabeth, but like, I don't know if you're going to be like this when you. It's like, oh, that dude.
The rest of us are.
Yeah, I was gonna say the four of us are friends, Dan. I don't know what you're worried about.
I mean, I don't know when I'm going to pass you on the street. I'm just saying, if it were to happen, I hope you wouldn't reject me. I would say hi to you.
Thank you. I
If we
appreciate
pass you on the
that.
sledding hill, Elizabeth.
I have to tell you, number 20 in the Masters collection of Woodford is probably my favorite. And I'm relatively new to the hobby, and I have 16, 17, 18, 19. What you've just released for the number 20 Masters collection, can you talk on that a little bit?
That's a Madeira finish, correct? Like that, the most recent.
It is really special.
It's so good. So
Yeah.
that was a fun,
Yeah.
that was part of when we started we started tasting the barrels. So we got the Madeira barrels in, we put our bourbon and our rye and our wheat in
Elizabeth,
those
I'm
Madeira.
sorry to interrupt you, but for the common folk, Madeira.
Okay, Madeira. It is a fortified
I
wine.
forgot what it was as well. So please.
It's a neighborhood in Cincinnati.
It is.
It is.
It is. That is so funny. Yeah.
Great schools.
Yeah, it is. It's a good area. I'm from Cincinnati originally.
And you're from
You know
Anderson,
that-
right?
Yeah, Anderson
Yeah, we talked about
Township.
this. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, we talked about it.
That's it. There's Cincinnati right there. You got the whole
I mean,
skyline.
I love Cincinnati.
Of course.
So, anyways, but Madeira, it's Portugal. So, like, it's a Portuguese fortified wine. It's fruity. It's yummy deliciousness. And
It's a port wine.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's very fruit forward, and just something that people typically drink it as like a dessert. But we got the barrels in. Just
Incidentally, that was Mitch's nickname in college, Fruit Forward.
fruit.
True.
You feeling fruity, tutti fruity? I don't know, guys.
No, you made his joke much better.
Yes.
Yeah, you improved it.
Getting back to the Madeira finish. So but what we did is because it's so fruit forward, we thought, okay, we'll finish these our bourbon, our rye, and our wheat in there and see. And then we tasted that. It was amazing. The volume was, kind of low, and it was very, very. The fruit was so big. It was like we need to tame this a little bit, and so we thought, well, let's blend it with our wheat whiskey. So we had some beautifully aged wheat whiskey still in our inventory. So we got that. It was about roughly 12 years old that we blended into this, and so it just, boom, made that like the fruit character of the wheat. Our wheat is such a fruit forward whiskey anyways. Lots of apple, like orchard fruit character. So then blending it with that Madeira finished whiskey really just made it blossom. And when I tasted it to write the taste notes, I was just like, God, because I hadn't tasted it in a while as that sort of finished product. And I was like, this is like graham cracker with all this yummy, preserves, strawberry preserves and apple preserves and just all this goodness. And it was just it was great to sip on. And we were having like some sort of meeting, and I was just like, I'm just going to sip on this because I like to like hang out with the whiskey a little bit before I start writing the notes, just because it sort of evolves a little bit, and you want to make sure you're getting really comfortable. And actually, I had Melissa Riff. She was sitting next to me. I was like, Melissa, taste this and give me some of your thoughts on it, and just what kind of flavors are you pulling out? Because it's always nice to have. Again, I'm a collaborator, so I love getting other people's feedback.
And Melissa Rift is the master taster at Old
Forester. Yep, Old Forester.
Wow, I love it.
And she said to you, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm still bothered by this guy I ran into at the sesquicentennial bottle launch.
He wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah.
Security was not called. Everything was fine, guys. Everyone needs to calm down with cancel culture.
It was only one security person was called.
Calm down.
Yeah,
Taylor Swift.
Listen, that was our MO. Elizabeth, I feel like that's where we connected with calm down.
Calm down. Everybody needs to calm down.
I say it every day of my life, and I feel like you say it a lot as well.
I do. And like, especially right now, it's like we all just need to calm down.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. I feel like I say that a lot. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, but it has a calming presence when it comes from Elizabeth. When you say it just pisses me off.
Yeah, when Dan is shouting it at law enforcement, it has a whole other...
Which leads me to probably our final thing here, because, people have commented on, oh my God, what job would Dan get at Woodford? And the reality is no job. You would never hire me. But I do think that the thing that would be most suited for me would be office kvetch. Do you know what a kvetch is?
I don't know what a kvetch is. I don't know.
So kvetch is Yiddish, and it means somebody who complains a lot, right?
Okay.
So,
kvetch.
Yeah, it's Yiddish, and I feel very ingrained in Jewish culture, and I feel like if I were on campus at Woodford Reserve, and I was walking around and you were not there, but they knew I was there on behalf of you. And I'm complaining and I'm making sure people are falling in line. It might be very beneficial. It's manipulative, Elizabeth, I understand. But I feel like also it could potentially be valuable.
Well, I love your... I don't even know what to say to that.
The outro music.
Yeah, I've never heard an audible pat on the head before.
Good boy.
But that was it.
Yeah, it was.
A kvetch. I like that word. I like all your Yiddish words that you have introduced me to. Because that's been you do bring a lot of Yiddish, and I love it. I'm here for the Yiddish.
Listen, you spend time with come on, Heaven Hill was owned by the Shapiros. Do you hang out with them?
I know. I hang out with Connor O'Driscoll, their master distiller. But he's an Irishman, and he's not Jewish. So.
Damn.
Nothing
Got him.
But I love all my
Elizabeth,
Jewish
that
friends.
hurts.
I love my Jewish friends. I could be Jewish, maybe. I could convert. I could do it. Maybe. That's a lot of work, so I wouldn't do that.
Don't tempt him.
Hang out.
It's too much work, and I don't know if the payoff is valuable enough.
But I will say, as far as a job, I could see you being a tour guide or a tasting host, because you'd bring it. You'd bring your stage presence, and people would come just to taste with you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Just because you'd bring a fun time, and that's really what people are there for, right? I mean.
I was thinking janitor, but you've really elevated my. I'm gonna dine on what you said.
Could a taster be fired for drinking too much of the product?
Everyone started talking at once. Everyone has an opinion. It's
an art form. We're still learning how to taste this, man.
Ooh.
What's
my mom asking?
Okay.
So, Mike Christopher, what's the question?
We have a question
Has
in the chat.
Woodford ever discussed or have any future plans to release age-stated offerings similar to friend Mike? Yes. All I can say is yes.
Would you like me to answer this on behalf of the company?
Say no.
No, not one. But we do. So We actually, what's great is that I have started planning for that. So we've started laying things down so that we can have really great age-stated whiskey out there. And you'll be seeing that in a couple of years.
Cool.
Got to
Listen,
get some age.
I love that. I mean, a big part of what you discussed with us when we were down there, and part of episode 1, is that we don't put an age. We taste to age. We don't age to taste, right? Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, we batch it. Well, we put our batches together based on the flavor profile, not an age statement. So that'll be new for us to do this age thing. And for us, I want to make sure it tastes good, which I am 99.9% sure it's going to taste absolutely amazing at a higher age. So we're excited to release that to people. And it'll be because we've done stuff that's been aged, we've just never put it on the label.
So let me ask you this, because the 4 of us, right, are, when you see, oh my God, 14 years, 12 years, 8 years, as opposed to 5 years or 6 years, consumers, maybe the nerdy ones, is that part of the pressure of we have to conform with the times? Sometimes people want to know that this thing has been in a barrel for 10 years before, even though they love their Woodford, they love, but is that part of the conversation?
I think it's part of what prompted us to start to look at putting a number on the like an age on the label. But also for me, I think it's really fun. I mean, I get excited when I'm like, man, this whiskey is, because I taste that all the time. We have so many releases we've done where we're like, this whiskey's 10 years old, and we don't really talk about it, but the age really does give a different shift in the flavor. And so I think that for me is what I'm excited to share, is like, what does time in barrel do to shift the flavor profile of Woodford Reserve? And so that will be the fun thing to share with people, is like, sit down and taste the bourbon that we typically put out. Now taste one that's 10, 12, whatever age, and see what they think. And so that'll be fun.
How do you feel about the age statement with the heat cycled warehouse? Like, how does it compare to other, like another 12-year-old or something like that?
It's going to be bigger and bolder, and honestly, we have to really manage our inventory, manage our inventory correctly, because when you do heat cycle, we're losing more volume than people typically see, because we're seeing Angel share throughout the winter months, not just in the summertime. So there's going to be higher volume loss of the yields. Our yield is going to be way down, so it's going to add to just that concentration of flavor. It's going to be big. I'm excited, and honestly, it's going to be interesting to drill into those barrels once they've all hit that higher age and go, okay, what's the yield, and then what's the flavor ultimately going to be.
I suppose with the heat cycled warehouse too, you could run into like the benefit of, put an age statement of a 8-year on it, but it tastes like a 12-year. You can corner that 8-year market, but be top of the game.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's where we stand out, is that we do. I mean, when you look at whiskeys in our same kind of age, we don't put an age, but we're typically around that 5 to 7 year age range, and we're kind of one of the best I mean, in my opinion, we are the best one, but I mean, I think people have other whiskeys that they're drawn to, but Woodford always stands out at the top because our barrels are amazing, the way we mature is amazing, and then all the other checks that go into making a beautiful whiskey goes into it. So that's what I love. I mean, I'm so proud of the fact that Woodford is people are like, oh, I know Woodford. I have that at home. I drink it all the time. That to me is a testament to a whiskey that has longevity, and one that truly is worth, people will think about it 200 years from now and talk about Woodford Reserve.
One of my favorite people, whiskey people on earth, is my friend Russ at the Vine Republic liquor store 2 miles up the road. And they have Vine Republic Batch 1 of the Double Oak Private Barrel from Woodford. And I've drank, 14 of them. I mean, it's really today. It's buttery butterscotch chocolate chip goodness. It is unbelievable. And I talk to Russ a lot. He's a friend, and he, when something comes in that's allocated or this, that, I'll say, hey, I got this. Are you interested? It's lovely to have a relationship with your local liquor store owner, but he really believes in everything that he sells. And I don't know if he personally was responsible for picking out that single barrel from you guys or not, but I've had many of them, and they're wonderful. And I just love the people who appreciate that. And for people to understand, wait a minute, like a double oak regular versus a single barrel store pick, what does that even mean? And to me, that's everything, because that's part of the education of what's going on. And if you're willing to have the conversation about it, about what it means, that this particular barrel will taste different from any other thing you'll ever taste. There'll be consistency. You'll know it's Woodford, but it's different. It's special.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love it.
Yeah. No, and that's what's so fun about whiskey, bourbon, all of it. Every batch, when you taste something that's smaller or a store pick or whatever, it's single barrel, they're all unique, and it's a natural product. So it's just kind of magical what happens in the barrel during maturation and how it all turns out to be a little different. And I think I always have a great admiration for store owners, retailers, because they will be the ones who go and pick it. And then they create their own following of having a great palate for selecting something great. So they take what we do, that we take a lot of pride in making something, we know it's going to taste good. And then they take it a next step to picking their own thing, and they create their own following where people anticipate their releases. So it's exciting to see that.
So Elizabeth, I have to, I'm a full disclosure kind of guy. Last week when I talked to Chris and we were arranging this meeting tonight, this podcast, I had just bought a full bottle of the single barrel double oaked from Vine Republic in Mountainside, New Jersey. And I was going to send you a sample, but before I was able to do that, I finished the entire bottle.
It happens. It happens.
So I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
It's okay. I
He sent you a sample, Dan.
Is that where we put the "please drink responsibly" at the bottom of the?
Well, yeah. No,
Sure.
obviously, please drink responsibly. I don't do anything other than that. I think we have one more question in the chat for you.
Yeah.
There's one more. She says, when will she see more variety in double oaked? Well, so more things that are coming out in that series of double oaked. So we don't plan to have double oaked is going to be double oaked. Double oaked bourbon is going to stay consistent, and it will be consistent. We hope to have maybe a double oaked rye, different things going on. Yeah, one day down the road. Look for that eventually to come, but that's where we'll see some variability in double oaked. But the bourbon should stay the same. So yeah.
Thank you, Rose. That was from Rose.
Yes, thank you.
And
thank you.
Maybe Graham's cousin, because Graham is our rye guy.
This is true.
There's a lot. I love it all.
Yeah. So do I. Elizabeth, thank you so much for the time you spent with us while we were in Versailles. Although I do still, we'll call it, I won't call it Versailles. It's Versailles. It really is. And people, you and I will go on we won't, but it's fine.
I just realized our whole moniker, the Bungknockers, that was birthed at Woodford.
It was.
Because there was that jar of the assorted bungs, and we took a photo of that, and then for the longest time, that's what our chat was called, the assorted bungs. And then I think we just got to Beavis and Butthead about it. We added Bungknockers to it.
Yeah, we did.
Well, no, I found an article on bourbon vernacular.
I bought this from your gift shop, Elizabeth.
I love it. A little bung.
A little bung.
Okay, they sold the Broken Bungs? That's our new name, the Broken Bungs.
Broken.
Oh, that's our therapy name, Graham.
Yeah. Healing the bungs.
Oh, well, thank you, Rose. I appreciate
I
it.
second it.
I appreciate it.
same
Thank you
here.
all so much.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for spending time with us last year, for sharing the Coup de Bourbon, which is your new double oak, which is just incredible. Please, everybody go out, buy this bottle. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's something to chase. That was good.
Yeah.
It really,
Thank you.
really is. Thank you for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate being here. So thank you so much. It was good to see you guys.
Great
Good
to
to
see
see
you
you
again,
here.
Elizabeth.
Absolutely. Great seeing you,
All
Elizabeth. Yeah.
Oh.
You're the dogs in the background.
Now they're going nuts. They're like,
I
all
know,
right,
I
you're
think-
done.
Their mom's coming home.